Hey, hi, good afternoon from the UK, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Saf Buxy, and this is Universal Recovery on Spirituality Gone Wild. And welcome to another week. TJ's away still. No TJ, no Jeremy. We had Jed last week. Big up to you, Jed, if you're in the house. You were absolutely amazing, and we had so many wonderful comments and the vision and the passion and everything that you brought to the show last week was just absolutely amazing. But guys, welcome again for another episode of Universal Recovery, where we talk about addiction, where we talk about trauma, where we talk about mental health, where we talk about connection, where we talk about everything to do with trauma as well. Just to get a few things out of the way, please watch me this Thursday as well on YouTube and Facebook, 8 p.m. UK time, where for the first time, I will have two guests at the same time. Two wonderful ladies who have got an amazing story between them, and they're doing amazing things in the world today. So please tune in on Thursday on Facebook Live or YouTube Live at 8 p.m. UK time. And of course, Monday night, channel 191 Sky TV showcase. I'm on at 9:30 p.m. on Men's Talk. Right now, today I have a very interesting guest. I was thinking, TJ's away again for another week. Jeremy's with him, talking about conscious recovery and talking about the modality that they've created. Hence, they're not here today. Jed stepped in beautifully last week, and bless up and big up to Jed. So today I thought I'd introduce or invite someone who's very close to me, not just as an individual, but well, in many ways, and it's my daughter. My daughter Aaliyah. She is going to join us on the show shortly. Why have I invited my daughter on the show? Well, I think it's important uh, for everyone to know how addiction can affect your loved ones. I know we know, but it's a big step on my side as well, because it's the first time that we're talking about how my addiction affected her and possibly other family members live on Facebook and live on YouTube. So not sure what to expect here. But you know what? If it means giving a message to someone of hope, if it means helping someone about hearing someone's struggle with living with someone who's in active addiction, I think it's important. So she's here. Um, she's in the green room. It's my daughter. Uh, her name is Aaliyah, and I would like you all to welcome my daughter Aaliyah. Hey,
Hi,
what's up, Chins? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I haven't seen you for a long time.
I know it's been a long time.
How you
I'm a
doing, Ben?
bit
Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm a bit camera shy, so this is all new to me, but I'm excited to be here.
How can you be camera shy? You're my daughter.
I'm I know exactly. That's just one thing we do not share is the affinity for being streamed.
But
But
you've done a lot of public speaking, a lot of stuff like that. But is that different than the camera?
yeah, I mean it's not filmed for one. So whatever I say, I won't be held liable for the rest of my life. That's scary. Growing up in the age of social media, that's a
No.
really big fear.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Look,
yeah.
we got one of our viewers from Cambodia. Hello,
Oh
sir,
wow.
or madam from Cambodia. We don't know who you are because you need to give Facebook permission to use your name. So please put your name down and so I can give you a personal shout out. But hi from
Hi
the
from
UK. Hi,
Hi to
come
Cambodia.
to Cambodia, exactly. Now, so we've done a show before in the past, right? On
Yeah,
radio,
yeah.
on my radio show, probably about a year and a half ago, and it was an incredible show. And hi, Julie from New York, Julie Kiss, welcome to the
Hiya.
show. Welcome to the show. I think it's the first time you're coming, so welcome and thank you for joining us.
We love New York
Just
in our family anyway.
we do, and it was funny because I think the first month of my sobriety, we went to New York, wasn't it? And it
That
was
was
the
your
first.
first sober holiday. Exactly. It was the best holiday I've ever had as a family. If everything felt so refreshing and just a different kind of spell of what we're used to on our family holidays. in special.
Yeah. I mean, look, when I was in active addiction and we used to go to holidays, I remember I used to go out on my own at night, whichever country we were in, and I'd, try and find a local drug dealer and
Mm.
get heavily drunk. And then by the time I come back, you guys would be getting up and I'll be sleeping all day while you'd be doing all the touristy stuff. So it was the first time in your life for sure, and probably in my life as an adult, well, no, in my life, not being drunk or drugged up. So it was a great experience. It was great to be present as opposed to
So
just as
that's why
opposed
New
to just
York will
exist.
always hold really special memories for us, I think, as a place,
Yeah,
and we love it.
yeah. New York's amazing. New York's amazing. Right. So why have I brought you on the show today, Alia? Is because this show's about addiction. This show's about helping people who are ensnared in addiction. But not only that, it's about helping people who are also suffering because of someone they know, one of their loved ones who are in addiction. And I thought this would be a great opportunity, especially when we know I have a bigger audience now globally, to maybe share a bit about how you felt and some of the experience that you went through living with me, who was obviously in active addiction on alcohol and cocaine and crystal meth, the main three in particular, and of course gambling, as you know that sort of affected us as a family as well. My gambling
Mm.
habit. So I don't know where you want to start. I mean, today I want to honor you, and I want to honor every single family member or friends who have stuck by their loved ones who have caused so much destruction and so much chaos because of their substance misuse or behavioral addiction. So, firstly, I want to big up to everyone, and I want to big up to you as well because you did stick by me, and you still are sticking by me. And I think if it wasn't for you, your mother and your brother, I don't know where I would be today. So, first, I want to show my gratitude towards you, and show my gratitude to everyone who have stuck by their loved ones because there is a way out. I'm living proof, and you can do it, but you can't do it alone. So, I don't know. I don't know where you want to start. I mean,
No,
maybe yeah, go on.
no, I just wanted to reiterate your point about how we often focus on the recovering individual, which is so important, but a lot of the time you miss that the fact that there are family members who are also grieving through that whole process, who are also recuperating in your time of recovery from the past trauma that it's left. So it's really important that we focus on that. And it's great to be able to spread that empathy to other family members who are suffering and other victims who are wider and extended part of the individual that's been in recovery. So that's great. I think last time on the radio, like you just said, our show was so well received and we had so much positive feedback that it kind of propelled us to want to share that message even further, right? Um, I mean, we can start from the beginning if you want.
Oh, yeah, I mean, maybe your earliest memory. I'll leave it to you because you know what today is about honoring you and honoring all family members and other support people who've supported people like me.
Mm. Um, so as a whole, growing up, I do recall my childhood, my preliminary years as being quite a happy time because I've always had love. So whether you were ensnared by addiction, as you say, or not, you've always shown a loving side. I've always had my mum to love me, my grandparents to love me. So I never felt isolated like I know a lot of people do feel. So that's one kind of positive from my childhood. But I also remember it being very tumultuous. There were lots of ups and downs in our house. There's a lot of fighting that was going on. And there wasn't always you being present, which I craved for so much as a child. I always craved to have you around constantly because when you were around, when you were there, you were amazing. But the fact you were so volatile in that really, really dampened my perspective on what I thought a healthy parent child relationship should be like. So I think, yeah, the fact that you were always gone, and in my innocent child brain, I did not know where you were. I just thought maybe you didn't want to be around me all the time. Maybe you constantly needed a break, which is a really poignant thing for me to think as a child because no child should really feel that the parents don't love them or they don't want to be around them, even though I know now that wasn't the case. Yeah.
Yeah, it's It's one of those things. Well, it's difficult to explain, especially when you're the person who's indulging in it. And we don't want to say too much on. I've got a book coming out, so we want people to buy the book. But it's interesting. I mean, hi Ian, welcome to the show.
Hiya.
It it's 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 interesting for me to hear you say. I mean, what is your earliest memory? Because I'm assuming what you just spoke about. You had no idea that I was on drink and drugs, or did you?
No,
No.
no, not initially, no. I knew you were different from other fathers. Seeing them kind of constantly do the school runs or always at home. Most of the time you weren't at home. So that was initially what I found very different. But more so the secondary effects your absence brought. So we lived in a joint family at the time. My mum and my grandparents, we were all together in a communal household, and that created a lot of repercussions on other people. So everyone became a bit more argumentative. There was a lot of tangible anger and grief at the same time in the house, and I think I felt that. Even if it wasn't directly through you, you can feel that circumstantially, like everyone around you is on edge about what's going to happen next, whether that's money issues, whether that's emotional issues. So yeah, the secondary onslaught was crazy. Um, but yeah, I do remember you just being very, very unique as an individual. I never saw that as good or bad. As in, maybe I just saw that as good because you were my dad and I loved you so much and I loved you for who you were, and that's all I knew. So it wasn't until I started going to other people's houses and I saw the way their fathers behaved, and I realized, wait a minute, okay, this is a bit different to my household, even though initially that was the norm for me. Um, I think we've already spoken about this on the radio show, but I do remember a time where this is kind of one of my most pertinent memories, which is you taking me somewhere in our car, and we went to this kind of estate. Can you remind me where that was? You know the story we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Bromley South.
Yeah. Okay. So we were there, and you said, "I'm just going to do some business. I'll be right back." We had a little DVD player in the car at the time, and you put on The Incredibles for me. And I watched that film. I don't know how long that film was, but at least a couple of hours, I'm sure. I watched that film, and I was just waiting. I sat there for another further a few hours waiting, for you to come back, worried that something might have happened to you, but also trusting in you that you were doing business. And sometimes, as I'm used to, these things can overrun. Um, yeah, but it was just me feeling very alone at that moment and not knowing, because obviously I didn't have access to a phone. I didn't want to get out the car because I'm scared to, and I've always been taught not to exit or talk to strangers or anything like that. So yeah, I just felt very, very alone in that moment. And then you enlightened me as to what you were doing a few years down the line, um, which you might want to share.
Well, I think it was quite a few years down the line. How old were you when that episode happened? Do you remember?
I can't pinpoint it, but it is one of my earliest memories.
Yeah,
So
you
it
were
must
quite
be.
young. You were quite
Yeah.
young. I don't think you'd been a teenager yet.
No, 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 no. Like between the ages of 4 to 7, I don't know, something around that kind of area.
Yeah. Before I answer that, hello, this is an incredible interview. Wow, I thank you for sharing that. I don't know who you are. It just says Facebook user, so please either tell me your name or request StreamYard to use your name. Thank you. Yeah. So, well, I was doing drugs.
Yeah.
Um, I and that's the madness of cocaine, and crystal meth in particular, but of course alcohol mixed with it. It's you forget about responsibilities. You do things extremely uncharacteristically, and morality and integrity go out the window. And not only did I leave you in the car at such a young age, um, I left you for so many hours. delusionally thinking in delusion that you'll be all right because you got an animation film on, which you enjoyed. I think it wasn't the first time you saw it, but you enjoyed the film, and everything will be all gravy. But I probably even told you not to tell your mum. I guess I can't remember, but something that I would have done. And it's me going upstairs in an apartment, scoring drugs, not just scoring it and coming back down, but taking it and drinking. And once I've scored and used and drank, I've come back down and driven the car with you in the car. And when I think back, it's like, well, there was absolutely, I can't find anything good about for that particular episode, what I did at all, because it's, but that's where it can take you. And that's where it took me. And that's
I
one
mean,
of many.
I just thought it felt so counterintuitive because you obviously loved me, you obviously cared for me, but yet it felt like you lacked such a thought process in that. You didn't think, did you? It was just, it wasn't out of spite, it wasn't out of a lack of love, it was just being consumed by your addiction, I suppose.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, and that's the thing. That's the thing. When you're intoxicated, especially the way I was, and many of our viewers can relate to this, we don't think.
Mm.
We don't think because we can't think. We're all we think about is getting that fix, getting that dopamine rush back again. All we think about is to get that hit. That's all we think about. It's Hey, hi Dana.
Hi.
There, now you should see my name. It's an incredible interview. Thank you both for sharing this. Hi Dana, and I do really want to hear your story as well because I know your story from what we spoke about. Welcome to the show. First time you're on the show.
Thank you for listening.
Really, really great to have you, and I hope you can get some value from the show. And like with everyone else, please keep your messages coming. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Aaliyah. We don't think.
Mm.
Not only do we don't think, we don't care, and we act selfish. Not because I was selfish, but that's where it took me. And then people might have the argument, yeah, but you had the choice not to take it in the first place. Yeah, we did. But obviously, when people buy my book, things might fit into place. But again, there's no excuse for that episode and many other episodes, which I'm sure that you will share today. So you were young then. I mean, I reckon you were about 11, 12, 13 at the most.
No, I would say a lot younger, a lot younger, because
Well,
yeah, it's a long time ago. But again, I know that you didn't even remember when I reminded you about that story. So that just shows something that can feel so meaningful and emotive to me is something that wasn't even on your radar, because you probably were, again, like I said, consumed with so many other things at the time.
so if we're talking 10, 11 or thereabouts, we're talking younger.
Younger.
We're talking younger. Um, okay, so that's a very young age for you to experience something like that. But you didn't know what I was doing.
Mm.
Uh, I don't think you knew that I was on drugs. You may have smelt something. You may have smelt the alcohol, but I guess that's the bit you probably don't remember more.
I mean, I was so naive. That was just probably your smell to me. I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing to say, but the fact that your smell was just drugs, alcohol, that's who you were, and that's what I smelled of you. So it never felt like, oh, my dad's an addict. My dad is taking all of these things. It was literally the fact that that was your smell, and that's who I knew of you, because there was never a time in my life before then that you were sober, that you were any different. So
And the thing is, I mean, I didn't even think I was an addict. And I think a lot of people who are listening, who have been where I've been, can probably agree with that. I mean, even to the day that I went into the rehab, thanks to you again, I was still in denial then. It's only after when I went into that room and broke down and went through the rehabilitation process, I started to think, wow, yes, I had a problem. And I was done, completely done. Okay, so that's your earliest and your first memory, it seems. Is there, I guess when I came back in the car, you were happy to see me, probably wondered where I was, and you probably did ask me, and I probably, obviously, of course, I lied. I didn't tell you the truth, and that's something that we do a lot, is lie. And yeah, before we go to the next bit, Julie, hi Julie. She says, I have many extended family members in this situation for all their lives and never been able to stop. Thank you for your honesty and sharing your life lessons. Thanks, Julie. I hope
Thank you so much.
hope you enjoy the show. And it's see, I don't want to play the victim here because.
But again, you were the victim of the addiction. You wasn't nothing prospered for you. There was no prosperity out of what has happened. You didn't gain anything from it. You lost life. You lost memories. You lost relationships from that. So again, you have to see yourself as the victim, which I'm sure you would tell many of your clients. But I think hearing it from me is probably quite hard for you to see yourself in a good light.
Yeah, I mean, it served you well today, but you still go back into that place, and where I think I've dissolved a fair amount of guilt and shame, something always comes back and reminds me, and then it sort of takes me back into that place without actually physically going into that place. So, okay, so what are the early memories? What was your next memory, I guess? That sort of, yeah.
It's quite hard to do it chronologically, but I can just think of memories that stick out, and obviously the police coming over to our house after the neighbor heard shouting and excessive shouting for someone to call the police, right? And being questioned by the police at a young age, not knowing what to say, not wanting to incriminate you or my mom or anyone, because I loved you both. I didn't, no matter how volatile relationships were in terms of fighting, when I knew none of you did anything intentionally to hurt anyone. And I know that was the perils of your illness. But yeah, having the police and being questioned, basically trying to persecute my father, was a very, very strange experience. Do you remember much about that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that's in the book. But it was a situation where I'd been out all night, maybe 2 days. Mobile phone was off, and I came back home. I remember I came back home, and I think I had a Mercedes M class then. I had a Mercedes big, those big, well, the big Mercedes we had, yeah.
Yeah.
The big ML with the comfortable seats. And I parked it in the driveway because I didn't want to come in. Oh, I think I was locked out. Because
Yeah,
obviously
probably.
your mum locked me out, and obviously this is probably the 150th time that I've done this, maybe more. So I slept in the car, and eventually your mum came to the door, and we went upstairs, and I was still very much high. I was in between high and come down. I was on crystal meth and cocaine and alcohol. I'd gambled all my money away that night as well. So it was my mind was all over the place, and I was extremely off my face. And she started pushing me, and I tried to push her away, and she fell. And from conversations with her, and I would never hurt your
Yeah,
mother,
that's
and
one thing I could say. You were never violent
I,
or
I, I was never violent towards any woman or any member of my family, and especially your mother. I was never doing anything, but she fell in so awkwardly. Obviously, we were shouting beforehand. She felt so awkwardly that it could have damaged her seriously, and I know her back was in pain for years.
Mm,
And obviously, she screamed louder when she fell. So I guess that's when one of the neighbors called the old Bill, called the police, and I think did you come up, says?
yeah,
Yeah, I
we
think you
ran.
came up, and yeah, you did come up because the first thing that you saw was me standing up in rage and your mother on the floor. And I remember that actually because I think, oh no, my kids think that I've hit their mum.
I
This
think
is
what's funny is that you had no um experience of ever being violent towards or abusive in any way to anyone in the family. But the fact that we can initially like just put two and two together and think that you did do something like that shows that we didn't know what you were capable of, or we didn't know where your illness could take you at that time. Because obviously there should normally be some kind of precedent for me to instinctively assume that you pushed her, but there wasn't, and we still assume that regardless.
and I thought, wow, if it couldn't get worse, it just has. My
But
kids
yeah,
are
that
going to be, yeah, my kids are going to be obviously taking the mother's side. Like, I can't do anything right here. And
mm,
of course, I'm intoxicated and everything else that's gone with it. And next thing, the phone rings, and it's the police.
yeah,
So in the state of mind I was at, automatically I'm thinking, you've called the police.
mm,
Automatically I'm thinking, my kids think that I've physically assaulted their mother when I haven't. Um, and of course, I'm very high on crystal meth. I'm very high on cocaine. I'm drunk. Um, and I'm like, wow, what do I do?
mm,
I didn't know what to do. But my criminal mentality got in. I said, I've got to get out. I can't get arrested. I've got to get out. So I remember I got into the car, and I hope one of the neighbors isn't watching, but I got into the car and I reversed the car and I crashed into a neighbor's car. I remember it, and I drove off. But I also remember taking all my antidepressants and my bipolar medication. I think that's probably the first time ever really that I was seriously thinking about it. And I drove to a cul-de-sac not so far away, and I can remember driving off, and I could see the police coming. I could see the police coming behind, and I drove off, and I'm thinking, if I drive out of Maidstone, if I drive out of the town, there's cameras everywhere. So what I'm gonna do, I remember this clearly. What I'm like off my face, I said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back on myself and park on the road parallel. They'll have no idea that I've gone. So I'm there that close. I remember doing it, and I remember parking the car because I'm thinking, wait a minute, if I get stopped now, I'll get done for drink driving as well. So I'm thinking all these things are going on in my mind. I remember this. But obviously, the biggest thing on my mind is that my children think I've hit their mother.
I think what's the worst thing is that that wasn't even the straw that broke the camel's back, as in you still carried on drinking and gambling and obviously taking plentiful drugs. Um, so I just thought, I think I felt personally that what would it take for you to recover? If we're not enough, then what is? And I personally felt attacked by that. I felt that am I not enough for you to want to change? Are we not enough? Is is the hope of a happy family life not enough?
Hi, Steve. Thank you. Thank you for your message, my
Thank you
friend.
very much.
Um, I uh, the simple answer to that is when you're in a situation where no matter what happens in your life, you turn to drugs or drink or you turn to things that what you're used to, I guess, or the only thing that you know how to deal with things, or if you're missing something in your life, or there's connection that's not there, or you feel a prisoner in your own mind. And I can only talk about myself. Um, Nothing else matters.
Mm.
It doesn't mean I didn't love you, all three of you. Uh, but the drugs took me to a place where I love the drugs.
Yeah, I think it's just at the time it was unfathomable, but now I know what I know. Now that you're in your profession and you always help us understand, I do get that it wasn't a thing to take personally. It was just that there is nothing definitive that can make an addict stop unless they want to. Um, so yeah, I'm happy now that we've come out the other end, but it has shaped me immensely as a person. Um, for one, I felt like I grew up very quickly. Um, I was I had to act as kind of an emotional confidant for my mum. She relied on me emotionally, obviously coming from another country, not having any immediate family members around except for me and my brother, who was very young at the time. So I felt like I had to grow up that quickly in that respect, be there for her at all times. Um, I also felt that I had to be quite frugal at a young age because of the gambling took its toll on us financially. So I learned to live with my means, be quite minimalist, value the things that actually mattered. Um, and yeah, I became quite serious, which is really strange for a child to be. A child should be kind of carefree, outgoing. I was quite a serious child. I had my escapes. A lot of people wouldn't be able to notice that because I could put on a facade, I could put on a persona like you could. But yeah, growing up with a father who's an addict does definitely shape who you are. And it has had its positives. I say both each of those qualities has made me into a better human in certain ways. But also I think it was all too quick for a child to go through that.
Your grandmother is saying nothing. But hi, Nani.
Hi,
Um,
Nanny. We miss
yeah,
you. She got her
we miss
vaccine
you.
today. So I'm so happy.
Congratulations.
I'm so happy about that.
Do you want to say one more memory that sticks out?
Oh my God. It's hard to know what one is more worthy to say than another because it kind of all blends into one as well. Because I kind of remember periods of time as either being quite bleak or happy, but nothing substantial. Is there a memory that you want me to expand on in particular?
Well, maybe a general thing on how it affected your mother when I wasn't
Mm,
when I wasn't around. I mean, I'm assuming you had conversations later on, closer to my recovery, more so, maybe
mm,
around that time when I got arrested. Eventually, by the way, if people are wondering what happened, but it's in the book. And then obviously I think it was a week later or 2 weeks later where you made the call actually and organized the first step to rehab for me. But obviously within that time, because I went to Germany, and I'm not going to talk about the Berlin experience because that was my last using experience. Um, but how did it affect not just you, but how did my behavior and my addiction and what I was doing on a regular basis affect
mm.
the whole family, starting with your brother and your mother?
Um, I think we all became, as a family, quite reclusive, not really sharing our actual emotions to anyone but each other. Because I do think there is this mentality, especially within South Asian, that you have to keep things to yourself, and then you have to put on this persona that everything's okay, and then the whole shame and guilt aspect. which even though we kind of didn't believe, we still maintained, which was such a weird juxtaposing viewpoint. But yeah, I remember us three getting extremely close, and reliant on each other emotionally to get through this. If I didn't have such a strong mother, then I definitely would have been, oh, I don't know how I would have been. I would have been a completely different person, because she provided that sense of sanity, that sense of normalcy in our life, which I wouldn't have had otherwise. That's why I don't always look back on my childhood and think bleakness. I do think of happy memories, because obviously there were times where you were amazing as well, but she maintained that continuity of having a normal parent figurehead at all times. But yeah, I would say that she is she was a shell of herself, because we used to be really retrospective and go back and look at her past memories, her childhood, because that was our one escape from the present. And she used to always provide me with all these stories about how she was so happy and always laughing, and all her college and university experiences. And she used to tell me about them. And I used to sit there listening in awe about, I wish I knew this person, because she sounds amazing and so lighthearted and so full of life, which, having experienced what she has experienced, because she got married to at a relatively young age, nearly the age I was now, that I didn't know that person, and she was a shell of what she used to describe her former personality as. So that's one thing that I can take out of this experience.
And your brother?
My brother, oh my God. Zaid, well, I think he kept to himself a lot of the time. He didn't have that escape like me and my mum did, talking. I think, yeah, he became quite reticent, not really sharing his emotions all too much. Even to this day, he doesn't really express his emotions as much as I do. I think you know that I'm quite a emotional person. I do like to cry and let things out. But yeah, he still hasn't found that kind of outlet of emotional outpouring, of catharsis. But yeah, I just think it did make us all closer. Like, that's one thing that I can take, and that's one thing I can always say and hold with my heart fondly, that I've got such a great family unit, and now with you, we're such an amazing four. We're really close. We bicker, we laugh, we do everything together, which is a positive. That's what has come from your addiction.
Thanks, Julie. Julie's saying, wow, what a special daughter God has blessed you with. Thank
Oh,
you,
that's
Julie.
so lovely.
I totally agree with you. Steve is saying, pretending things are okay is a human trait common to people of all origins.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So what was it? What finally, what was the catalyst? What made you think, right, you know what, something has to change? Because it was you. It was you who made that phone call. And you made that phone call when I was on a business trip in Germany, in Berlin. Berlin. Because when I came back, and again, I'm not going to go through the story with the audience because it's all in the book, but when I came back, I got fired from my job and that. But when I come back, you'd already booked an initial session with the rehab place. Hi, Priya, welcome to the show. I think it's your first time, so welcome. I hope you're enjoying it and getting some value. What was the catalyst? How did that come about? Because I actually don't know that story really. I don't know. I can imagine you Googling or whatever, I don't know. How did that happen?
I think at your worst point was tandem to the time when mental health awareness was on the rise. So that was one thing. So more research was available. I saw a lot of things on the TV about people recovering addicts. So that gave me kind of a hope. But yeah, I think it was a bit of the fact that you were out of the country, because you're so persuasive. You were such a persuasive person that you could make things seem all right and mitigate what has happened and how you were. When I was with you, when you were good, I could be easily convinced. So the fact that you were away was a step that made it easier. But I also think the fact that, yeah, it was enough was enough. I was going to leave for university very soon. The thought of leaving my family with the same state that we had been for the last 18 years was something that I couldn't comprehend or I couldn't accept. But when you were away, it wasn't like our life was any easier, because in fact, it was worse, because we were constantly worried about what was going to happen, if we were going to get a phone call that something had happened to you or that you were in trouble. And it was such a scary thought that I didn't want to let that go on for any longer. So I made that call, not really thinking that anything would change from that, but just in hopes that we could be moving in the right direction, or we're one step closer to a happy ending, or a new person, or a new you. Not ever really believing that, but just hoping for that. So
It was the best thing that happened to me. Because I haven't looked back since you did that, since you made that phone call. I haven't touched a drink or drug or gambled since that.
And it's so
day.
Yeah, I can't even begin to say how proud I am of you, because that's such a huge feat to just never, from what you were to who you are now, is the transformation is the most incredible thing I've ever witnessed. And you are literally a beacon of hope to so many people. That, I mean, if my dad can change, I know that anybody can change, because you were really, really wrapped up into the black hole that was being in addiction.
Hi, Judy. I think this is your first time as well. So welcome, Judy, to the show. I hope you're enjoying it and getting some value. Steve said the child teaches the parent, but that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful and so true. There's, you might know this person's message.
How's it? I don't really know who that is. No, I'm joking. Hi, Mum.
That's your mother, and I think that sort of sums up how our family life is today. I mean,
Yeah.
can you just share? Can you just share with the audience?
Share
Sorry,
with.
it's
No, I know.
it's been quite because we don't often have this conversation, if at all. I think it's probably the second
Yeah.
time in recovery where we've
Been so frank about our emotions. Yeah, you're right.
Can you please share with the audience how life is today,
Yeah.
and how things are different, and how I'm different, just to give other people hope. You know, you
Yeah.
more or less said it, but other people hope that you can get out of this. You can get out of this. I'm your father in addiction
Mm.
all your life,
Mm.
and now I'm your father for a good number of years, no longer chasing the drug, chasing the drink,
Yeah.
gambling,
Yeah.
living the whole life of toxicity, because there's a massive difference, right? So can you please share with the people that the change, not because to big me up, but just to show people that this is possible. You can get
Yeah.
out of it with the right help, with the right mental. Over to you. This is yours.
I
The
was going
stage
to
is yours.
say that our family life is normal now, but you are such an enigma that I don't think anyone who knows you knows that you are the opposite of normal even today,
I
which
feel that. I feel that. Hey, what did I
we can
tell
all
you?
we can all concur on that. But it's as normal as I'm happy with. It's we argue over what to watch on Netflix. But we play family games at Christmas. We're so in tune with each other's emotions that I think it is different from what a normal family is. I don't think everyone I don't know, but from my experience, we're so in tune with making sure everyone's okay and understanding each other's perspectives, which is a great thing that has come from your recovery, should I say, not your addictions, from your recovery. But yeah, we're just a normal family now that we're happy to be around. We might have seen a lot of each other over lockdown, which has put a natural strain on certain things. But no, it's been amazing to spend these last 4 years with not only someone who...
It's my 5th year. Come on.
Your
Give
fifth
me
year.
Give me that.
Your 5th year with someone who has come out the other end, and I've seen that transformation. And I've grown as a person too from that. So we've all grown together. We've all grown as a family. We all have such a acute awareness of problems now in other people's life. I think we're so much more compassionate towards other people because we know that what you see on the surface, what is ostensible, is not always what's underneath. So I think the recovery has been the best possible thing, better than I can envision. Because you're not only a recovered addict, but you're also a mentor for other people now. And that's something which fills me with so much pride, even though I don't say it often enough. I am so proud and I'm so lucky because I know there is a lot of people who haven't had the opportunity to go through recovery with a family member who they're worried about. But yeah, I know that you're helping as many people as you can day by day, which is great.
That's really nice to hear. Thank you, Aaliyah, my daughter.
We're never this nice off camera. That's
yeah. Wait until we get. Did you? But you know when you made that phone call and I went to the rehab place and blah blah. Did you?
Yeah.
Did you really think that I would change? I mean, did you think that was it like a last straw? Was it like let's give it a go, but I'm not expecting any miracles? Was it like that? How was that?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, you'd hope that something would change from that. But then I think there comes a point where you live in acceptance that this is my life now, that nothing's going to change. But I had that kind of beacon of light. Maybe we can go in the right direction. Maybe it can improve slightly. But yeah, no, I didn't ever think. I always say this: if you told me 5-6 years ago that this is going to be my life, this is who you are, this is who you're going to be today, I would never have believed you. I would have laughed. I would have said that's rubbish because I just never thought that we could get out of that stage.
I destroyed our family.
Yeah, I think that's extremely harsh because yeah, at the time there was a lot of destruction, but you haven't destroyed us. We're here, we're happy. So I think you should be kinder to yourself because you didn't destroy us. We went through a period of destruction, but we've come out and recuperated and we've come out the other end.
There's a very it's a very interesting question here. For me, I guess. Did I recover for you? I mean, I guess partly for the family, yeah, but it you know what, Judy? After 33 years of abusing my body and causing chaos to anyone who came through me for many reasons, and again, that's in the book, I was just done. They say rock bottom, but I was just done. Yes, it was my daughter who made the phone call. That started the rehabilitation. Did I do it for her at that time? No. Did I do it for my wife? No. Did I do it for my son? No. Did I do it for me at that time? No. I did it because it was a thing that I was supposed to do. I'll be honest with you, I had no intention of stopping what I was doing. That's the delusion and the denial that I was in. But when I got into that place, something happened to me, and I haven't touched a drink or a drug or gambled since that day. And that's me being honest. And I'm so grateful that I made that decision. Um, but no, I didn't do it for my daughter, but then again, maybe I did. I don't know. It's a really difficult answer to. All I know is that I was done, and I was hurting my family, and I was hurting myself, and I was hurting everyone. But what I do also know is that when I was walking up those steps to try and to get treatment, I had no intention of stopping. What happened in that room? I'm sure my family came to my mind when I broke down for 20 minutes. So it's a yes and no answer, I guess. But what I do know is that I couldn't have done it without their support. I couldn't have done it without their love, and I couldn't have done it without them staying with me because I'm very blessed. And I thank God first and foremost, and I thank God for having my family to stay with me, but I thank my family for persevering and somehow getting through what I put them through and seeing the reaps of recovery today. If there was one last thing
Mm.
that you would like to say to either, well, to people who experienced what you experienced, and of course we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. Um, what would you say to encourage them or to show them that there is a way out and it can happen? What advice or what could you say to people who have been where you were?
I think it's very easy to say, yeah, I made that phone call and that's where it happened, and that's how you became recovered. Um, but I think reaching out to support systems around you is so important, because you need to value your mental health as well as the person going through addiction. Um, we should have reached out to people, even though we did so well to get through it on our own. I think there are great support systems around you that you wouldn't even be aware of, people who will be there for you, who will always acknowledge the pain you're going through. That's one thing. And another thing is, I'm not a medical professional. No one in my family is. So to seek out services that are professionals in addiction and mental health is the most important thing. To research, to be aware, and not to be critical of the person going who is going through the perils of addiction is so important, because it's not their fault. It's like anything else. It's like any other addiction. And I think with more mental health awareness, people are understanding that you don't have to go through anything alone. There is always a network of people who will be there, who can guide you. And you don't have to be a sorcerer or some kind of omniscient character to know what to do next. Just take each day as it comes and have in your head that there is hope and there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you can get out of the madness. A little plug for your book. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, the book is called Out of the Madness, A Message of Hope, and it'll be coming out in the next week or two, couple of weeks. So keep an eye out. Dana says something, and she's saying something off the back of what Judy said. That's so true, Judy. Not very many people struggling have such amazing support. And your mum has said something as well, and she's come back and said, "What advice would I give to a person who hasn't got their family support like I had, and how can they get through this?" And I think you more or less just said it. But you know what? Mental health and addiction is not so much of a taboo like it used to be many years ago. I think people have to understand that both they don't discriminate
Mm.
at all. Addiction and mental health doesn't care what race you are, doesn't care what belief or you have or you don't have, doesn't care how much money you've got, doesn't care if you live in a mansion, doesn't care if you live on the streets. It can grab absolutely anyone. I think that's the
Mhm.
first thing I want to say. Secondly, yes, I've been blessed. Yes, I've been lucky. Yes, I've so much gratitude that I had support of my family and some of my friends, but mainly my family, and they stayed with me through this. And that I am truly grateful for. But there's people out there who do not have family. There's people who are out there who are isolated and alone all the time, even more so than what we all experienced during these COVID times. And the only advice that I can give to you is there's a lot of support groups out there that you can attend and be around and be with like-minded people. You have the fellowship groups, the AAs, the CAs, the NAs, where they go through a modality called the 12-step program. If you haven't heard of it, I'm sure you have. You have conscious recovery support group or conscious recovery modality by TJ Woodward, who's going to be back with us next Tuesday, which I'm a big part of as well, and I'm hoping to bring to the UK. You have professionals like myself who can help. I mean, I not only do I work in social behaviour and I come from a vocation and an academic and of course personal perspective as well. But there's people like me who can coach you. There's counselors who can help you. There's other support groups out there. There's so many things out there that can support you, and you'll be around people who can understand you, who will probably not judge you like others may. People who can support you because I think you can't do this alone. I didn't.
Mm.
I think you need, I think it's important for this support. I don't think we should ridicule people for their past mistakes anymore. I think we should support them and work and work as a collective, work in communion, and to help the journey to redemption, to help the journey to sobriety, to help the journey to some kind of normality, some kind of morality, some kind of something. Because together, if we work together and support each other rather than ridicule each other, rather than compete against each other, we've got every chance to conquer this together. And if you do it with people who can understand where you're coming from, like-minded people, then it can be easier because you have something in common. Um, so yeah, so the answer to that question is yes. If you do not have any family or close friends to support you, there are groups, there are professionals. If there's anyone out there who wants help, um, you've got my website there, www.safbuxy.com. I'm here to be of service. I've helped through my radio shows and my TV shows and millions of people around the world because everything that I've been through, this is how it's serving me today to help as many people through addiction, through trauma, through mental health, whatever it may be, because you can get through this. You can get out of the madness. And there are lots of people like me, not just me, but there's lots of people like me. So thank you for that question. And the last question or the last comment is, I love what you are saying. This is so important to get these messages out there. This is so much needed. Thank you. Thank you, Dana, and hope to see you soon. Aaliyah, thank you very much for being
Thank
here.
you.
It's been, I've kept myself together today. I
Yeah.
remember last time on the radio show, it was the energy in that studio
Yeah.
was electrifying. And yeah, we've had our moments today, but this is very important for us to do. And I'd love to have you back in the future to maybe talk more. about addiction and anything else, because there are other things that we haven't spoken about that affected you as well in other ways, which we haven't talked about, and we don't have to talk about, of course. But not only does it affect the addict, it affects the loved ones and the people around the addict. It affects everyone, and I think that was the key message today. Judy say my 4-year-old grandson. I don't know what that means, Judy, but thank you. Right, thank you very much, Aaliyah. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
See you soon. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, that was powerful. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and got some value from it. And I think the moral of today's show is basically you're not alone. You're not alone. You can get through this. And with help, with the right support, but none of it matters if you don't want to do it, right? I think the first step is you have to want to stop and want to make this change in life. Because until you recognize that there's a problem, until you acknowledge and accept that things have to change, it's not going to happen. But of course, there's help out there. Hook me up on my website. Come to Spirituality Gone Wild. If there's any support you need that I can be of service to, please let me know. My book's coming out soon. It's called Out of the Madness, A Message of Hope. And that's exactly what it is. It's there to give a message of hope to as many people as possible, not just people who have, who've been entrapped or suffered in addiction, but people who have mental health issues, people who have suffered or experienced any kind of trauma. So it is for everyone. Wow, what a show. Join me again this Thursday at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe, and I think it's 1 p.m. Pacific. And of course, on Monday on Sky TV, channel 191, Sky Showcase, Men's Talk on Feel Good Factor TV. And again, we're back next Tuesday with TJ Woodward. We'll be back. So I hope you had a great time. Keep the messages coming. Hook me up and have a great week. God bless. Thank you.